Alright, the first thing you want to do is take off the beauty cover. Just grab it and you want to just pick it up, pop it up, because what it will do is you have 4 grommets right here. And these grommets will push down on 4 posts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, let's set this to the side. Alright, the next thing you're going to do is you have this top cover over the plenum or intake. You're going to have a series of 10mm bolts, and you're going to have 2 10mm nuts. One right there and one right there. And I'm going to be using a 10mm deep 3/8 drive socket. And we're going to go ahead around there and get all those out. Now these bolts are all the same length, so you don't have to worry about getting them mixed up. Alright, let's get that off. Alright, we got all the nuts and bolts out. Now these 2 right here you can leave in. Just take this cover and pop it up. Now you're going to have a metal gasket right here. You want to make sure you get new gaskets when you replace all this. So just pop that gasket up, put that to the side. Now what you can do is take all your bolts and stick them back in here so you don't lose them. Or what I do on this case, I just set them just like this and put it all to the side. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is remove our air cleaner. Now the first thing you're going to do is there are going to be 2 8mm screws. One right here. Now you're going to see an empty one right here there's something supposed to be screwed in. Nothing's going to be there. And right across the other one, there is nothing going to be there as well. Alright, so your 2 screws, 8mm, is going to be one right here. And you don't have to take the screws all the way out, just loosen them up until they move around like this. And then the other one is going to be way over here on the other corner. So you're going to get those 2 screws out. Then you're going to unplug your mass airflow. Now your mass airflow, to unplug it, you're going to have a tab right here. Squeeze this tab into the connector and then back the whole plug up just like that. Then you want to take a 5.5mm socket, which is weird, or a 7/32, and you're going to have this clamp right here. And you're going to, now it looks like you can use a Phillips screwdriver as well, but we're going to use the 7/32. Make sure that's nice and loose. Then you're going to have your map sensor. The harness goes all around here. We got to disconnect that. So pop it out of this little clip right here. Then pop it off of here because we're going to be removing our throttle body. You got 2 arrowheads, an arrowhead clip. Push one in, and at the same time pull back on it a little bit, and then push the other one in. Pop that out. To disconnect your map sensor, you got a tab right here. Squeeze it down. Plug it, unplug it just like this. Now, you have 1 tube right here. This actually is going to be 2. But see, the bottom one you don't have to worry about because that's antifreeze going through there, cooling. You don't have to worry about that one. This one right here you got to worry about. Now this clamp is not that hard. You can actually take your hands and squeeze it together. But what you want to do is, first of all, back on me, take your whole air box, pick it up, and pull it back. Don't pull it back a lot, just enough where it starts to move. Then take your pliers, squeeze that clamp in, and you're gonna slowly pull that tube out of there. Now this slowly pull it out of there. Don't yank on it because you can break something. And as soon as it gets out of there, just lean to the side, just like that. Take your air box. Now don't pull it yet because you're gonna still have your harness hooked up to your mass airflow sensor. So you just want to back that tube up off the throttle body, pick it up, flip it over, and then you got your clip right there that's holding on that harness. So you don't want to pull that or you will damage it. And you want to take a screwdriver and take your hand over here, pull down, and you want to take a screwdriver and push those tabs in at the same time pulling. No, just keep it just like that. And this sometimes can be kind of hectic. Oh, wait a minute, that one. What is that? pops right out. All right, let's go put this to the side. And this is a good time also to check your air filter. It's in good condition. Set it right back down there. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is, first of all, we're gonna remove our throttle body, but we're gonna unplug it first. Now, right over here to the side, there is a plug, the plug to it. Move this harness out of the way. The tab to it is right there. So what you wanna do is squeeze that tab in. You gotta make sure it's squeezing good enough, and then unplug. Come right here, and there's the tab right there. So you're gonna squeeze that tab down and unplug it. Now your throttle body is held on by two. Let me make sure there's one up. Okay, yeah. Two 12mm nuts on the top and two 12mm bolts on the bottom. I'm using a 12mm deep 3/8 drive. Let's get all four of those off. All right, we got them off. The two bolts are the same length, and of course the two nuts are the same thing. We're gonna put that to the side, but before we do, you're gonna grab your throttle body, you're gonna shake it so it can break the seal, and you're gonna pull it back. Now remember, your throttle body has the two holes. Here's the one we didn't disconnect, and there's another one down here that we didn't disconnect. Coolant goes to there, so you want to leave those on so you don't lose no coolant in the vehicle, and it'll be enough to slide off of those studs and just lean that to the side. So we're going to do just carefully bring those out and let the throttle body rest just like that. Yeah, boy, look at that. And we're going to be, if you want, you can take this gasket off. Now a lot of you can reuse it if you want. I don't recommend that, because if any air gets in it, it will trigger a check engine light. So we're going to be definitely replacing that. And if you do, take notice of there's a little tab sticking out right there on this gasket. And keep in mind that that's facing it to the left, to the bottom, facing down. All right, let's put the bolts to the side. All right, the next thing you're going to do is disconnect this valve over here. Now you got a connector right here. You're going to push this tab down and unplug it. Now there's a hose right here. I find it a lot easier to follow this hose down. It's going to go down to like an air canister down here below. And there's a...
Wait a minute. Oh, a good angle here. Where are you?
Right this... Let me try to... I'll move it.
Okay.
Now this hose on this side is going to it, so I got a pair of needle nose pliers, and what I'm going to do is take this clamp, bring that clamp up, and then I'm going to take the same needle nose and I'm going to twist that hose back and forth a little bit just to break the seal on it. I'm going to do that very carefully. I'm trying not to get in the way of the camera. And once you break it enough, you want to try to pick up on it. I think I gotta bring the clamp up a little bit more. Okay. You got a good angle on that?
Mm-hmm.
And be very careful, because what it is connected on is plastic, so you can break it if you're not careful. I definitely got it loose. There it is. Okay. Got that pulled off of there. Alright, let's get this to the side and let's move on. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we got this big vacuum hose right here. This is going to your brake booster. This is a very important vacuum line. So we're going to take our clamp, squeeze it together, bring it back. Grab a pair of pliers or something, and you want to gently just take the hose, and you want to just gently grab it and squeeze, turn it back and forth. See, right now it's not turning, so you want to just keep on going until you break that seal on it. And then at the same time, while pulling back on it, twisting it, and it will pop right off. And leave that to the side. All right, the next thing we got this hose right here. Now this one you're not gonna touch. This is gonna come up with the plenum hole, but you got this one outside here. So you want to take your pliers, squeeze the clamp, bring that back. Same thing. You want to just grab it just enough to break that seal on it. At the same time, twisting it and pulling it back. Now, you get to a point right there. Take your little screwdriver, and it'll help you take that hose off without damaging it. Just set that to the side. Now, if you pay attention, your plenum is going to come around here. Now you got this whole harness right here that's too close to it. Now you can probably take it up without removing this, but I do not recommend it because you don't want to break anything. Let's get this to the side, and what you're going to grab you is a 10mm shallow socket. Now here's your ECM up here in the front. The ECM is held on by 3 10mm bolts. 1, 2, and 3. So let's go over there and get those 3 bolts out of there. Okay, 3 bolts are the same length, and you don't have to disconnect nothing. It's just what it does. Look at that. Yeah, buddy. Just gives you that room to clearance to get that plenum right off of there. And you just go around. You just make sure nothing else is connected to our plenum, which it looks great, guys. It definitely looks great. Let's take these screws and put them to the side. All right, we are now ready to take up our plenum. Now you're gonna see a bunch of 10mm bolts all around the plenum. Do not touch those. Leave those alone. And inside here, you're gonna see another a few 1, 2, 3, 4 10mm bolts. Leave them alone as well. The only thing you're gonna focus on is 2 12mm nuts and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 12mm bolts. So the first thing we do, let's take the nuts off of there. And then let's go ahead. Now when you loosen this up, start from the outside and work your way in. Alright, and once you get those up, take the bolts out, and you want to just make sure all of them are the same length. You don't want to mix these up if there is some that's longer or shorter than the other. Alright, they are good. Let's take these to the side, and we're going to take these up together. Alright, now remember, you got 2 studs right here. So it ain't like you can just pick this up and put it. You got to pick it up over those studs and then take it out. And this thing is pretty light. So you're going to pick it up and cool. Look at, oof, man, look at that, man. And bring that out of the way. And let's go set this down to the side. All right, now we're going to remove the lower part of the intake. Now this is also held on by a series of 12mm nuts and bolts. On the 2 corners over here, you're going to have 12mm nuts, and you're going to have on the 2 corners over here, one right here and one right here. And then you're going to have 3 12mm bolts, one right here, here, and here. And on the other side, you're going to have 1 and 2. There's no 3 over there. So let's get our same setup. Start from the outside. Remove the nuts. And at this time you want to be very careful. It might be a good idea to, I'm used to this, but for you, let's take us a rag and just put it over here just so nothing falls down into you. Now if you have 6 separate rags, you take them and you just stick them up just like that. What's so funny? Nothing. Because there's 6 separate ones? Yeah. Alright, and let's go ahead and remove the other 5 bolts. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Now, all your bolts are going to be the same length. Remember, there's going to be 5. So you're going to have 5 bolts the same length, and then you're going to have the 4 nuts. And once you get those off, put this to the side, the rest of them. This is very light, so that's all you have to do is just take it grab by the studs or whatever you want to do, and just pick the whole assembly up just like this. And here's a cover that goes on to our high volume fuel pump. Just pops out of the way. You can take this off, and let's set all this to the side. All right, before we continue, you want to make sure you you want to blow all this dirt out of here. You want to make sure you especially spray inside the intake ports. Yeah, see all that? So I'm gonna finish blowing this off, and we're gonna move on. All right, next we're gonna do is grab you a 19mm wrench, because we're gonna start loosening up these ferrule nuts here, and there's pressure in here, so you want to make sure you get some rags and stick it down in there. That was too much. Stick that rag down there like that. Stick another one down there, and this is a good time. Now you could have did this in the beginning, but now is the time to disconnect the negative terminal on the battery. You got a 10mm nut there. That's what we're going to do, is loosen that up, twist it, and bring it to the side. You want to be very careful. See how this comes right back in touch. So, and this one is not a lot of, I like to say bend it to the side or something. That's going to be good, but you know, just in case, what we're going to do, just in case if it does snap back into place, then just stick that rag between there, stick that over there, just like that. Now we got our rag down in there. You want to take, now there's a lot of pressure on this. So now what I'm going to do here is I got my 19mm wrench, and I'm going to hold it like this, and I'm going to just slowly loosen that up just like that. Then go to the other one, loosen that one up, and you're not going to, now once you loosen them up, these things are pretty easy to come off. So I'm going to put my rag there just in case any fuel sprays out. Alright, now I'm going to leave them loose just like that. Alright, let's move on. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is disconnect the electrical connector to our high pressure fuel pump here. This can be a pain sometimes. There is a tab on top and a tab on the bottom. I'm going to show you the top. Now, what you got to do is that inside there's a tab. Matter of fact, let me pull this back and show you a better of what you're going to be dealing with here. So what you got to do is that center one, you got to squeeze it in towards the connector, and this part comes up, and then you'll be able to unplug it. Not now, because there's one on the bottom that is exactly the same, and it is really super difficult to get to that bottom one. So what I like to do is I get it either an angle, and sometimes these don't work that well, but these are hose pliers, and the hose pliers got them little clamps on each end, which is great for that. So what you want to do is reach in there and center both of them, get them in there like that, and squeeze together, and then back up. Just that simple. I mean, no, it's not just that simple, so don't listen to me on that part. It is not that simple. Alright, put that to the side. The next thing we do is grab you another rag. Well, you're going to have a bumper here, but just put a rag in here and all around, and you're going to have another 19mm, because what this tube does is a tube that goes right here. They go both right here, then they go in and they come together into one manifold, and then it goes out here, and then underneath there you see a 10mm bolt that's holding this all on, and then you have the other end over here. So we're going to stick, right now we're just going to stick a rag into there, get our 19mm wrench, get up there and cover it up, and just slowly break that loose. Okay, it is loose. Now, what we're going to do now is let's get a 10 millimeter deep socket and maybe a little extension and remove that 10 millimeter bolt. Alright, we got the bolt out of here. Let's get a pair of pliers or a magnet. Get that bolt out of there. Put it to the side. This line should start to be loosening up. It is. Let's get our rags down there, and then we're going to continue taking these off. Alright, we pretty much got them all really loose. Now we're on to our final bolt right here. Get this out of the way. You're going to have a 12 millimeter bolt right there. Let's go in there with our 12 millimeter and hold the rags just in case you see any fluid, fuel spray out. There we go. Alright, let's get our bolt out of here. Move the line around. Oh yeah, perfect. There we go. Now let's finish taking, here's our gas coming out right there. Not much at all. Okay, let's get this one off. And we can take our fuel line right out of there. And let's keep our 12 millimeter bolt with this and our 10 millimeter bolt. And let's set this down to the side. Alright, now we're ready to take up our fuel rails, and maybe they might come up with the injectors, maybe not, who knows. You got one rail right here and one rail right here. Now the front rail, this is the left side of the engine. At the end, it's going to have a fuel temperature sensor right here. So we're going to disconnect in a minute. Now over here we have 4 10 millimeter bolts and 2 10 millimeter nuts. You know, guys, you know, this is a good time, a good idea to get you a rag or something, or 3 rags, and just stick them in there, or 6, just because you don't want one of these dropping down in there, or that would really suck. So let's get some rags together. Matter of fact, I can take 2 of them and put right here, one right here, and then I get another one there. So let's get some rags in these and close these up. Alright, we got our ports closed off. Now let's go ahead. And, you know, so I'm not taking them all, I'm just loosening them all up. And then we'll go ahead and let's take all those up. Alright, now we're just going to wiggle this back and forth, and at the same time be picking it, pulling it up. Here we go. Now if you notice inside, you see the orange in there? Those are the fuel injector seals. We got to actually pull those out of there. Those come with the new injector. So let's put this to the side, and then we're going to start unplugging and taking our injectors out. Now we're going to unplug our injectors. Now your injectors, there's a tab on the bottom of these. You got good lining in there? Mm-hmm. And you got to be very careful. And actually, even if you're careful, sometimes these things will break. These tabs are so brittle because of the heat down there with the fuel and all. What you got to do is, there's a tab. You got to squeeze the tab into the connector and then back up on it. Let's see if we can get this one. See, I just heard that. Let's turn this over. See how that broke right there? Mm-hmm. So these things are super brittle. They're going to break, man. They're going to break. Let's see if I can get this one. And I heard that one as well. These things just going to break. Can you see this one? This one is actually already off. So that's broken already. Let's pull that to the side. And let's get us... Now, to take your injectors out, these injectors pull out, you can use the hose pliers or something to grasp them around there. If you're going to reuse these, you want to be very careful when you pull these out because you don't want to damage them. Alright, let's get these out. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to take our hose pliers, and you want to try not to grab where the connector is, because you know this is plastic and it can break. So what you want to do is try to get it down to the body of the injector. twist it back and forth and pull up. Let's get another one. Pull up. And let's grab the other one. And I like to twist it back and forth to break that seal. And pull that one up. Alright, be right back. Alright, here's one of our new injectors, and you can see it still has already the seal and everything on it, so we got to take it out of that fuel. I'm going to show you how. Now down here is the very important part right here. This right here is a seal. When this engine's running, compression on this is going to run close to 200 psi. So all that pressure is on that seal right here, and if these seals are worn or damaged, it will cause a misfire, or the car will just run completely garbagey. So you want to make sure that where this going down is going down into these tubes. You want to make sure that it's absolutely clean down in there. And what you're going to use to do that is now I got this wire wheel, this wire brush kit. You can go with the brass. Definitely don't go with the steel, because you can wear out those holes on there and it'll cause a misfire. The brass ones over here is very good for it, but those are really worn out. So I'm going to be using these nylon ones, and this is good, because that's all it does is removing just the dirt down here. What you want to do is got the attachment onto our drill right here, and that's all you want to do is just go ahead and clean those out. Now get your air and let's blow all that stuff out of here. Alright, first we're going to do, we got new clips with these injectors, and what you're going to do is install them on just like this. Clip them right into place. Done. Ooh, yeah. Now, you want to slowly bring your injector in. You got enough lighting in there? Mm-hmm. Bring your injector in. Make sure the connector is out towards that way. And you just want to twist back and forth while applying pressure downward. And the injector will slide right into place. Perfect. I mean, that, guys, that was perfect. And mainly because we cleaned those out. Alright, we're going to install the other two, and then we're going to get ready to clean out our fuel rail. Alright, this is coming out great. Now you want to make sure that these injectors are pushed down all the way, because you're going to push them down and it's going to stop. But that's when you got to keep twisting back and forth with a little more pressure down, and you're going to feel them go down a little bit more. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead. Now what's good about these plugs is that they have seals in them to keep out moisture. Those seals are so good. It's actually what's going to hold these plugs into place, which is great, man, because if they wasn't there, that thing will just come right off. And look at that. I mean, I'm pulling on it right now. I'm pulling on it right now. You can see the injector moving. So you want to make sure you grab these and connect all three back. Because that's all you need to do is do this whole job, and you forget to plug the injectors up. Alright, that looks great. Alright, let's go over there and take out those old seals inside the fuel rail. Alright, just in case you need to know, the customer got these fuel injectors. Reconnecting is a very good name brand. A lot of a lot of cars use these as OEM parts. So you're going to get a pick. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use here. And that's all you have to do is reach the pick in there, and you want to make sure you don't like gouge up side of the side of the wall right there, or you will damage it. So that's all you want to just get the pick and pull it out. Then once you pull the first seal out, if you look in there, there is another seal in there. That's one as well. Let's take that out. The green one is out. So you want to make sure that one is out of there as well. And when you take both of them out, if you can see it inside there, it looks nice, and you can see nothing but metal. So let's do one more together. And there's the green one. And let's get that last one done. Alright, now we're ready to install it. Now what I want you to do is get you some white lithium grease, because when you go to push these down, you need something to go over those injector seals, and it'll be able to smooth go down instead of grabbing and maybe scarring them up. So you just want to take a dab, just a little bit of white lithium, and just put it around each one. And that's going to help push that down. Huh?
Can we see?
Just a tiny bit. Alright, now, look at those indentations right there. That's where the injector, that clip on the injectors, they got to set right in there. So you want to make sure that on your, make sure those are lined up as much as possible, straight up. First you want to go over the studs. Now if you can look, you got good lighting in there?
Yeah.
You can see where the those clips are starting to line up with the slots.
Yep.
So you just want to make sure they're lining up as you bring them down. Can you see in there?
Mm-hmm.
And I am looking, let me get the light.
I don't have too much space.
Huh?
I don't have too much space.
Okay. And now if I see I have to move one a little bit, it's going to take a small screwdriver or something and just move it over a little bit. And or take the injector and move it. Very important, guys, and very important to make sure you got those lined up. And I'm actually using the wiring harness, the injector, the plug, to make sure it's lined up. Look at that, man, that went down perfect. All right, let's get our nuts and bolts. And what you want to do is start them off just by a couple of threads, just so you don't cross thread them as we put them down. All right, now we're ready to tighten these down. And when you tighten them down, you want to start from the center two, and then go to these two, and then go to these two. You got to be very careful that you don't tighten these down too much, or you will break these bolts off. These are you want to torque them down. These are torqued down to 19 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. They are torqued down to 19 inch-pounds. All right, so let's get those torqued down. All right, the next thing we're going to do is take up this side. I'm not going to show you how to do this side. I mean, that's the same thing. But I do want to tell you before you continue on, when you go ahead and tighten torquing these down, you start from the center one, you want to make sure when you torque this one and this one and this one and this one, go over it again. You want to keep on going and bring these down evenly. Make sure that thing is flush. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these up, pick this rail up, because I want to show you how to disconnect the fuel rail temperature sensor. All right, I got the injectors out. Now, you don't have to remove the plug, but just in case you do. Now, your rail sets like this. Your plug is right here. So what you want to do, there's a tab on this side. So turn it like this. Take a pair of pliers or your fingers, and you got to squeeze that. It's a tab just like this right here. It squeezes in. Squeeze it in and unplug it. And it will unplug, right? And there's the tab locks into right there. So now that we got that, let's take out these old seals, clean up the ports, install our new injectors. All right, guys, we took care of that. Everything is looking great. Now you want to make sure, again, make sure all your injectors are plugged up. Do this job again. The next thing we're gonna do is, while we're up here, let's take out our rags. We're replacing these gaskets, so let's take these gaskets up. Sometimes there's pain coming up out of here. Now, around here, you got to be very careful. You don't want to use no wire brush or anything. That's all you want to do is just take a rag, and you see how clean it comes? Because it's an MLS gasket, multi-layered steel, so there's no sealer or anything on these. But you do want to make sure around these ports are clean, just like that. So let's clean this other side up, and before we put our gaskets down, we're going to set our fuel manifold back, line back in. We got our fuel line here. Let's set this down. And of course, it wants to give us, it's going to give us a hard time because we got nothing better to do. Okay. Make sure your connector for the fuel pump goes between there like that. Alright, it's pretty much set into place. Now what you can do is just this is actually, we're gonna actually put this around like this way. Alright. It takes a little finagling to get this thing in here because all this stuff move around. But once you start putting one in, now I'm gonna start over here on the coming out of the fuel pump and just twist it by make sure it grabs about 2 or 3 threads. Right now it ain't grabbing none, so you want to make sure you do this by hand because you don't want to cross thread these. Okay, now let's go over here to these, and you want to make sure, it's good point information right here, the tip of this line, make sure it ain't going out here, make sure it is going inside that fuel rail just like that. Let's get this line over here. This one. Okay, all lined up. I'm gonna start bringing them in little bit by little bit, and you can feel and make sure that it's in that line, in those lines, in those rails. And we're not gonna tighten them up, just gonna bring them snug with our hands. And once you got that snugged up, now we take our 12mm bolt down here. Start that off by a couple threads. Now a little trick, because you got your 10mm one down here. A little trick I'm going to show you. If you can't get your hands down in there, is take your socket, take a piece of paper, or I'm just taking a piece of glove, stick the bolt in there, and see, it'll hold right into place. Have to get that down in there, make sure it starts off by a couple threads. I'm going to turn all the way, and that's good, that one is down there, just like that. Great. So, and while we're at it, let's go over here and plug our fuel pump back up. Okay, let's tighten up that one and tighten up the 10mm, and then we're going to show you how to tighten up the ferrule nuts. Alright, let's make sure, bring our ferrule nuts in as much as we can by hand. And you want to tighten these up all together at the same time. Bring it till it just snugs tight. Let's go to the next one. Just snug tight. Now we know it. And guys, don't be like Superman on these. That's all you gotta do is just go, and you'll feel when it stops. Just go a little bit more. That is all. Let's get this one. Okay, let's go back to this one. Okay, and tighten up this one. Perfect. I'm not gonna tell you to. I mean, it might be a good idea. I'm looking. Everything is pretty much connected, but then you're gonna get a check engine light. What you can do is actually put the battery, connect the battery, put the key in the on position. It'll power it up just enough from the secondary fuel pump, but you gotta crank it. No, just make sure they're pretty tight. All right, everything is looking good. Let's go get our new gaskets and set them down. All right, let's get our new gaskets set in place. And you want to start them off at the top, because these things can bend easy. And this one over here got a little problem over here. Okay. Perfect. Let's go down this way. See, when they go down evenly, it goes down perfect. Connected, all that. All right, check that out. We are now, what's next, Sylvia?
The intake?
Matter of fact, I forgot, you guys, when you're doing a big job like this, I'm going to show you what the party line is. Let's go check that out. All right, this is what I call the party line. It's not much to it now, but sometimes if you're doing a big job, it can help you. It can help you a heck of a lot. As you take off parts, you start putting them in a line. Remember, that's the first thing we took off, the beauty cover. Then the second thing, and then the third. And as you take off stuff, you put them in a line. So when you go back to put this job back together, that's all you have to do is start at the end of the line and work your way back. That means you can leave this car apart for years. As long as you keep that party line intact, you will always know how to put this car back together. And as you can see right now, we are at the lower intake. We got this cover right here for the high volume fuel pump. Wow, this is pretty dirty. We're gonna wipe this out, take this off. Got a new gasket for this as well. Okay, we're gonna clean that up, turn it over, and we're gonna clean that off. All right, let's go get that done. All right, the first thing we're going to do is put over our noise insulator. Now, this actually is a noise insulator. Without this there, you might hear this in that fuel pump go brrr, and people, start ticking and you think something's wrong with the engine. This actually is to stop noise. So you just want to put that over just like that. Man, that's looking good. Take our intake. Make sure we put this right. Now you see this hole over here? The other side don't have it. So you want to make sure that you are lining that up. And you want to go over the 4 studs and just slowly lower this down into place. Man, that is looking good. All right, let's get our 5 12mm bolts and our 4 10mm nuts, and we're just going to start them off all by hand. All right, now we're ready to torque these down. And when you torque it down, you want to start from the center and work your way out. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just start from the center and work your out. And these are going to be torqued down to 16 foot-pounds. All right, let's get those torqued down. All right, while we're over here, let's get our hose hooked up. It's gonna go up under this and get it. Push it on down there, and let's plug this up. And let's get our clamp, our needle nose, and bring that clamp down. All right, now we're going to take our 6 bolts and 2 nuts, and we're going to put them into the intake, and you're going to start them off by hand by a couple threads, so that way we don't get them cross-threaded. And then what you're going to do is start from the center. We're going to start about here, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, and go to work from the inside to the outside, and we're going to tighten them down to 16 foot-pounds. So let's get all these started off and then torque these down. Alright, so we put this valve on with the hose, and we're going to start from here, and we're going to start walking our way around. We got the hose right here to the brake booster. Bring that on. Bring the clamp forward. Okay, working our way around, working our way around. You know what? Let's get this hose on right here. Bring this clamp forward. Okay, now let's get our 3 bolts for our computer. Alright, so we got our 3 bolts, and we got the 3 holes right there. So we'll just bring that forward and move it around. Turn it by a couple threads just so you don't cross thread it. Okay, now we're going to tighten those up, and this hose goes into this channel right here. Just like that. Alright, so let's tighten those 3 up. Alright, so we did over here. Now we're going to just walk our way around. There was nothing over here. We had to disconnect. We come back in here. Now we're at the throttle body. Already cleaned this up and all. Get the new throttle body gasket. Remember, that little tab faces down on this side. So let's stick that down there like this. Bring that in there. And let's bring our throttle body over. Just like that. And before we forget, let's go over here and plug this up. Push it on till you just heard that click. Now let's get our 4 screws. Put this on, bring them over here. Guess not. Alright, let me go get the screws to this. Alright, let's get the bolts down here. Start them off by a couple threads. Then the 2 nuts. And we're going to tighten them up to 16 foot-pounds as well. But when you tighten this up, you want to cross pattern it. You want to go, whichever one you start at, go to the other one, and then go to the other 2. So let's get those tightened up. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is let's get the top of our air cleaner. And we're going to watch our harness right here to our mass airflow. Bring this forward. We're going to start putting this hose in there. Like that. So, and then bring our tube. Bring the tube over. And I'm going to try to do this with my hand. I'm going to squeeze this clamp. And you want to just get that down there till it goes to the stops. Just like that. Release it. Bring this forward. Now, a good alignment on this. You see there's a little ledge right here. Right here on top. And then you see this part sticking up out of the throttle body. So just make sure that's lined up just like that. Alright. So bring that down. And before we forget, let's go over here. Can you see over here? Stick our clip into there. Plug up our mass airflow. Set our breather down. Alright, let's tighten up the 2 8mm screws and the 5.5mm or 7/32 clamp right here. Let's get that done. Alright, the next thing we do is grab your harness to your map sensor. Bring it around. It clips into here. The clip right up here. Harness goes over to here. And let's just plug that up till you hear a click. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to wipe down the gasket over here. Wipe down the upper intake over here. And get our cover and clean off the underside of that so we can get ready to install our new gasket. Alright, let's get our gasket. Set our gasket down over the studs. That looks great. Get our new cover.
You?
Well, cover. Put that down. Let's start the bolts off by hand to make sure you don't cross thread them. And then we're going to torque these down to 16 inch-pounds. Do not over tighten these bolts. Alright, that is done. This job is looking great. Actually, it's just about done. The next thing we're going to do is let's connect our negative battery terminal. Tighten that up. And what we're going to do is let's go get the key and start it up before we put the beauty cover back on it. Alright, we're going to start it up and make sure you have a flashlight or a good light in hand, because what you want to do is go around it and make sure there is no air leaks and especially gas leaks. Now this thing has so much fuel pressure that, trust me, if it's going to leak gas, you're going to smell it and we're going to see it down in the intake and all. So let's start it. Now what I'm going to do is just put the ignition on to prime the well, it's mechanical pump, so it's going to just turn anyway. Alright, let's get it started. Great. That engine don't even move. So we're going to look down, go around. So we don't see no kind of leaks anywhere. And just like I said, you would smell it. It's going to leak them. You would be smelling gas right now. So this job came out great. Check that out. Alright, putting on the beauty cover, that's all you have to do is push it down, line it up with the post, and just push down. Alright, take care.